Mr. President, how are you, sir?
Hi, Glenn.
It's good to talk to you.
How are you?
I'm very good. Good to talk to you. I'm great, and I have to thank you for bringing so much attention to what's happening in Ohio, and finally getting Buttigieg to show up, who was there yesterday, and blaming you for the disaster somehow or another. But thank you.
Did he? I didn't hear that. I can imagine. That's they always do that.
Yeah.
It's incredible. That's incredible.
What did you learn from the people of East Palestine?
The unity is incredible. The relationship to each other, the working with each other. The mayor was a great guy. I did ask a question, what is your crime rate? And it's almost zero. So, here we are in New York and different cities where it's not only is it not zero, it's numbers that have never been seen before. Yeah. And horrible crime, too, just be getting whacked from behind your head with a baseball bat and things. But I said, what's your crime rate? Almost like, that's not a very smart question. I mean, we have almost no crime. Think of it. It's a beautiful thing when you look and see, and there's just a lot of love there, a lot of spirit. They happen to love me because, the relationship, I got a vast amount of votes there, as you probably know. I think it used to be a Democrat area, too. Yeah. But I got a vast amount of votes, and it was a beautiful thing to see how we just all came together. And Boot Edge, was supposed to say Boot Edge. He was supposed to be there, and he decided not to come. And he came the next day, and he played to very small crowds. Nobody cared. It was too late. He should have been there on day one, not weeks after this event happened. It was a very horrific event, actually.
Horrible event. The people can't trust the EPA, or they don't trust the EPA.
The fascists that are running the country take, umbrage at it. They go after them. And that's in many different ways. You see it. You see it even with law firms. You see it with so many different things. They don't want to take on this fascist, disgusting system that our country's turning out to be. We're becoming like a Soviet Union. It's disgraceful. And you see that in many ways. So now you tell me that even engineer types are doing that. It's just absolutely horrible what's happening to our country in so many ways, whether it's the border, the military, what they're doing with the military, so many different things. It's very sad, actually, and very dangerous, very bad. This is the 1-year anniversary of the invasion into Ukraine. And, Mr. President, I can't find a good guy here. I don't trust Putin. I don't think he's a good guy. But I know, because I did a lot of work on your so-called impeachment and what was going on in Ukraine, that's wildly corrupt. And I don't trust our government. And I don't want to get into a war. And we are now we're close to losing the proxy part of this war. And it looks like we're headed towards something where we are going head to head. What is your take on this, and how do we stop this? So it's a very interesting question, and I have a little more experience because I dealt with Zelensky. I made one phone call, and then I made a second call. These were two congratulatory calls, once when he won first phase one of the election and one when he won phase two. They were, as I say, perfect phone calls. I got unanimous in the House acquittal, unanimous from every single Republican. Now, you haven't seen that too often, but every single Republican voted to acquit or to say innocent, and that was a nice thing to see. The Republicans came together, but I got to know a lot and learn a lot about the country. Now, the country is considered extremely corrupt. In fact, we have a document that says you're supposed to report them, everything, but it is a very corrupt country. I happen to like Zelensky for one specific reason. When they asked him what I said, was he threatened? He acted as though it was a disgrace that they were doing this. He said, what did he do? He didn't do anything wrong. He just couldn't believe it, actually. It was just a con by Nancy Pelosi and the con artists. But Zelensky could have said, I felt threatened, I felt this, I felt that. Could have said that, and it would have been harder. We would have still won because it's still, fortunately we had this call taped in a way. It was taped by the people in government and in our government. And I was very lucky that it was, because we had all these people making up different stories saying they were on the call, Probably they weren't even on the call, but they were liars. And when the tape came out, that was the end of their whole ploy. Then they went on to something new. But these are just terrible people. But Zelensky, as you remember very well, and it was quite beautiful because I didn't know, I didn't know him. I congratulated him on a victory. But he came out and he said, absolutely, he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't even know what they were talking about, and he acted that way. So I really respected that because he could have gotten some good political points, and I really respected that. And I like him.
Should we be sending more money, more arms? Now they're talking about planes. Should we be doing this?
Well, we're going to end up in World War III. That's one thing that's going to happen, and I've been sort of saying that for a long time now. Are you ready? Just in a very quick nutshell, this is a war that should have never happened. It would have never happened if I were in office. Zero chance of it happening. I used to speak to Putin about it, got along with Putin very well. Don't forget, I was tougher on Russia than anybody else. You're one of the people that face that. I ended their pipeline. I sanctioned them. I did so many, and yet I still got along with Putin. That's sort of a trick. That's a hard trick. It's a talented trick, but I got along with him. But nobody. I was the one that sent in the javelins. I sent in massive numbers of javelins, and Biden and Obama sent in pillows, and they sent in sheets.
I know.
In a very small number. But I gave them the javelins. When they wiped out those tanks, they wiped them out with the stuff I sent. There was nobody was as tough. And the javelins was a big deal. But the biggest deal was I shut down the Nord Stream 2 pipeline that nobody even heard of until I came along.
So
I let people know about it. Nobody heard of it.
When you go to the Nord Stream pipeline, which you did shut down, Biden opened up. Now there's some reporting that says we blew it up. Biden did a covert mission and blew it up. Do you believe that?
Well, it could have been us, and it could have been Ukraine, and it could have been some third-party country that wants to see trouble. The one group it wasn't is Russia. They blame Russia for doing it. This was a main source of massive income to them. They didn't blow it up to make a point. That's the one thing I can tell you for sure. Remember when it first happened? They said Russia did it. Russia always says Russia. And I lived for years with that where everything gets blamed on Russia, gets blamed on you. These people are sick, I'm telling you. But it could have been working in conjunction with Ukraine because Ukraine has total dominance over the United States, total dominance. I mean, we've given them probably $150 billion, and Europe has given them almost nothing. And that bothers me. That really bothers me because I had it out with them on NATO. We were taking care of NATO. We were taking care of. I got $450 billion from the European nations from NATO. That's the other thing. Nobody was tougher on them, but then they still beat us on trade because I had that just about stopped. Europe is almost as bad as China on dealing on trade. They're very, very restrictive, very, very tough. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm products, meaning much of. They don't do, they treat us with a lack of respect. Well, they were starting to respect us a lot and big, and we were straightening a lot of things out. But the saddest part about the war is that this is a war that should have never happened.
Correct.
Okay, so now it happened. Now you have to get people in the room. You have to knock heads, and you have to get it done. And that would mean saying things to Putin and saying things to Zelensky that they're not going to want to hear, and getting them into a room and getting it done. People are dying by the thousands. Glenn, when I see the reports that they knocked down a city, these cities are being leveled. There's not a building standing in a lot of these cities. I've seen pictures that maybe other people don't get to see. Maybe they do. Or take a look at the newspaper. When they have a topographical picture of a city, there's one building standing. It's incredible. And then they say one person died and 3 people were injured. No. Many people died. Many people were badly injured, and we're not getting the true facts about what's happening in this war.
Let me ask you one more question, because I know you're on such a tight schedule. So let me just ask you one more question. China is now offering to negotiate the peace there, but the Chinese just flew a spy balloon, which we didn't shoot down. But today we're finding out that a U-2 spy plane took pictures of it. It had a payload the size of 3 different buses. It was being navigated, solar panels creating energy for it, and we allowed it to fly over our missile silos and Strategic Air Command. This is dereliction of duty if we're being kind.
Well, there are those that say, as you know, that Biden and the Biden family are truly conflicted and compromised with respect to China. There's a lot of money going around, and it's substantial money and big money, and decisions are being made. I mean, when you look at what they're doing to us on trade, they're giving back so much of what I won, and it's crazy. It doesn't make sense. It's like the border. It doesn't make sense to allow, it will be 15 million people pretty soon. 15 million. It's not 3. They used to say 3. The people are pouring in at will. I'm watching hospitals are being overrun, and everything is being overrun by people that are coming out of their prisons, are coming out of their mental institutions. They're overrunning our country. Who would say that that's good? I mean, what person would say that that's good? But with China, they are perhaps compromised by China because decisions are being made that are very strange. As an example, why wouldn't that have been shot down long before? Because those messages don't sit in that balloon. Those
right.
The messages are immediately transmitted on the second. They're immediately transmitted. So this thing flew all across our country, did its work. It probably had nothing left to do. It was heading back, and then they shot it down. The whole thing is crazy. So many things are so wrong. Why don't we have voter ID? Why are they allowing millions of people, and many of these people are terrorists and people that are going to be causing us problems? We're going to be feeling the border for many years to come. Yeah. No matter who it is, we're going to be feeling it. They are destroying and poisoning our country. And you say, why are they doing this? Why are they doing it? But this is a family that could very well be compromised, because why are they allowing this to happen with respect to China? At the same time, the ultimate sin is taking place. And I learned this when I was a young student studying history. Never let China and Russia unify.
Yeah.
And we have let them unify. We forced them into a unification.
We have.
And that's the most dangerous thing that can happen to our country.
Mr. President, your people are giving us the high sign that you have got to go. I hope we have a chance to talk again soon. It's been a while. It's good to talk to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Thank you very much.
You bet. God
Thanks,
bless.
Glenn.
You bet. Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye.